So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we are taking a look at Combat Commander Pacific. This is the second printing. It just came out from GMT. It's a game designed by the late Chad Jensen. This is a game that was unavailable for the longest time. When we first started getting into wargaming, boy, it was OOP and people were forking out $120 for it. So I just held off because you couldn't justify it at the time. But Combat Commander, we've played that more than most of the war games that we've ever played. We just played a lot of it. We had it early on. It's one of Grant's favourite games, and it holds a spot in our heart. We've played Mediterranean, played some of the battle packs, but this is one I always wanted to sink my teeth into because there was some changes to the system. Med was more of just like a port to different armies and scenarios. Here they really revised some different bits and pieces like command, rallying actions, off-board artillery, and then it's including things like the Japanese and all their different banzais and bushido and things like that. And this is a setting that I think is very interesting to explore at least. So very excited. Let's crack this open. It is a two-player tactical war game. What does tactical mean? If you've not played a war game, tactical means that a counter is like usually a squad or a team or just a single counter. It's very small in its scale and scope, and it is about employing good tactics to achieve a very specific geographical or squad platoon-based goal. So let's crack it open, and we will see what we've got here. Okay, so we have the rule book and Commander Pacific. So the rules, we have that's a glossary index. Looks like we've already got 29 pages of rules. Looks like it's laid out very similarly to Combat Commander Europe. Everything's divided up into nice small numbered sections, but each section has a good, small paragraph explaining the rules. We found these rules to be fairly accessible in most of the other games, so hoping this is the same. And everything's easy to reference with the numerical system they've got, so I do appreciate that. We have a playbook that should have our scenarios in it. Looks like we have line of sight examples of play. So we do have some nice colored diagrams in here, which is nice. Caves, melee. This is quite nice having all of this stuff in a playbook. I do appreciate that. Different spotting rules with different terrain types, things like that. Okay, then we have historical scenario setup. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. Okay, that's just explain how. So A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 scenarios in here, looks like we got. But this tells you what units you've got, reserves, things like that, which map to use, which orientation to have it, objectives, time limits, all that kind of stuff is included in here, and it's all nice full color. So we've got 12 scenarios, not bad. We have a leader table, fortification, OBs, and looks like we just got some extra. These posture, interesting. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if does Europe have this? We've never used it. There's a random scenario generator which tells you everything that you need to do to make that interesting. And we've got some notes from Kai in the back about development, which is nice. So that's very interesting that there's a whole random generator in the back. That's quite good. So we have counter sheet 1 of 3. So we've got 3 counter sheets. So let's get these out here. These are very classic white core Combat Commander counters. So we'll start here with 3. We'll go back to front because these are the units. So we have our Marines, and they've got rifles, garrisons, BAR, rifle Marines, and then we've got some leaders down here as well. And then we got some Japanese down here. We got green colonial. Oh, these are Anzacs, my bad. We got Anzacs, Colonials, Gurkhas. Nice. We'll be playing with the Gurkhas. Weapon teams, Green Line and Elite. Those are breakdown kind of replacement style units. And then we have, looks like we have the reduced side on there as well. We have the Japanese. Okay, here's the Japanese. So here we've got a couple more American units, but we have all the Japanese. So we've got Special Naval Landing Forces, various different divisions, and we got Elite Lion Green units here as well, and a bunch of leaders. We have secret objectives. Always like secret objectives. Those are always a fun part of this game. And on the back again, it's kind of our reduced side units there. And here we have our special weapons. So these are items that can be attached to units. We've got heavy MGs, light MGs, radios, mortars, 50 cals, BARs, all that kind of stuff. So we've got some Japanese ones down here as well with their knee mortars, medium machine guns, LMGs, flamethrowers. A lot of interesting stuff there as well. And our little control markers. And then we have kind of the usual foxholes, trenches, wire, mines, all that kind of stuff. But you got these caves which are new, that's exciting as well. And on the back, looks like these are somewhat similar. They're different values, no. But then we have the broken side of all those. So there's only 3 counter sheets. I say only. For some people that's a lot. What I like about this game, and we'll get to the cards here in a second, is the maps. The maps have a very distinctive style in Combat Commander. But these ones, I think they're a bit nicer than the Europe ones, just from the art style. But it is very reminiscent of those. And one thing you might notice is how big these hexes are. If we punch a unit here real quick, a lot of games have the small-sized hexes that can barely fit a unit in it. Here, look how small that unit is compared to this hex. If we stick it over in the corner, you can easily have, units stacked together, but you can spread them out, and it's much easier to manipulate that stuff on a board instead of having to go through stacks of stuff. There's something I really like about this game and this system. I do wish more games would do it. So here we have this. What number map is this? This is map A. We have a B on the back. I sincerely hope we do. Yep, here we got a nice little village in the middle. We've got some palms and then some dense jungle. Here we've got map C, where we've got ourselves a nice beach with a river. If this doesn't remind anyone of Guadalcanal, I don't know what will. But everything's very clearly defined. Again, something I enjoy about these games. And then on the back, for D, we've got a nice little beach landing coming across. So, yep. I don't know what it is about the Pacific Theatre that interests me, especially on a tactical level. I guess I'm English, so it's something I didn't grow up with, so it's still something I feels just so foreign and different from the things that we learned about at school. So here we've got a lot more of the palm and a little strip of the beach there as well. Looks like we got a sandy area. I don't know if that's a hill or not. I don't think so. Yeah, it looks like that's elevation. And on the back. Okay. Here we get storming into the caves. I imagine we'll have caves in here. Up the big mountains onto, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4 extra levels of elevation above ground. And that's what I want from these games. And Combat Commander gives you that, is each of the maps is very tactically different. You never get maps which are like, it's kind of the same. I feel like they get a lot of differences in how they're set up. So we've got a river going through, a road with a bridge, got ourselves a tiny little kind of hamlet there. And it's paths going through the jungles. There's also elevation. This is a canyon. You can see this dark, kind of to light to very light. So it's sloping downwards. So you'll be able to shoot down hills, things like that. Get into some elevation, which is always very fun to do. Here we've got a large building on top of a mountain. This is what I'm going to call it. It might not be a mountain. Oh, and it looks like we've got an airstrip here as well. So I wonder if this is kind of a observation post, maybe. But again, something very different from the other maps. Here we have I mean, there's a map. There's literally a map for each scenario. So here we've got 2 larger hills. with a ravine going in the middle, going down here into some jungle. And then actually J, we got a hill on this side. I'm not quite sure what this terrain is, but I wonder if that's some kind of ditch or if that's a stream. And then the last map, map K, which on one side has palms with a bunch of small elevated pieces of land in it. And then we have L, which looks like it's very, very rough terrain with a bunch of other stuff going on. So this one looks like it'll be very slow going. It's usually going up hills and through rough terrain. It bogs you down very quickly, so very exciting. And then the last thing we have here, we have a couple different play aids. Alright. So we have United States Order of Battle, Japanese Order of Battle, and then Commonwealth Order of Battle. And this is for if you're generating firefights or if you have replacements, or if you get an event that says, oh, you get some reinforcements. You can roll on a table, and based on what year it is and what kind of state you're in, you can cross-reference, and you might get a weapons team, or you might get this light mortar. You'll pick up different things. And on the back, you get this is a support table here as well. So there's a bunch of different stuff for each of those. And then we have, okay, let's get this in some kind of order. This is your kind of main turn track. So you'll have a map out, and you have this out. This has your timer, and scenarios have a certain number of turns before you have to start rolling sudden death. You'll have a victory point swing as well. You'll put out all your casualties here too. And there's some markers to keep track of the year and your quality, so that when you do reference those support units, you know what you can and can't get out. You got your little play aid chart here with mines, wire, foxholes, things like that. But they do also give you these single-sided play aids. So usually under Aplexia I've got all of this, which has fire attacks, melee, victory point values. It's got our terrain effects chart, and all of this, and the map. Usually I can fit that under a decent poster-sized Plexi, so everything's very convenient to look at. The last thing we've got in here is a bunch of cards. So we'll start here. This little tiny package is for the initiative, if I can get it open, he says. One is based on a scenario, someone's going to have the initiative, and you pass it back and forth to get a reroll, basically. Then you've got a knight marker. Looks like that's kind of just a... Both players have this. I wonder if that's just a play aid. And then it's just some summary of the things that you can do. So these are mini play aids as well. We do have 3 decks in here. So I think Europe came with German, American, and Russian. So here we've got Commonwealth, US, and Japanese. And these are all asymmetrical decks. The variations are subtle, but they do make a difference in how the game plays. So if you look here, each card has a historical photo on it. And it has a number of different aspects on the card that you'll reference depending on what you're doing. So, for example, if you need a random hex, you flip the card and it's hex M2. And that might tell you, it's, oh, a sniper attacks. Flip a card and that's where it attacks. So it'll be within 1 hex of N6 or within 1 hex of O2. There's no dice in this game. You calculate a total, then you roll a die by flipping a card, and you consult the bottom right-hand corner, and it tells you 2d6, a roll of a dice there. They'll have an action, they'll have an event, and you can choose what to do with these, or it's got an order on there. There's a whole bunch of different things that each of these cards mean, and you'll be cycling through them to be able to do stuff on the board, or you might be... trying to build a good hand to make a big strike. We have the US ones here. And they just, a lot of the stuff is similar, right? It's a fire action. They've just got nice different pictures on it compared to the Commonwealth ones. And the composition of the deck is different. So you might have more fire attacks in this one, but you might have more marksman ones in this one. And effectively this means you can make more attacks, In this one, it might mean you might make more precise or more deadly attacks, but fewer of them. It's just a really neat way that it doesn't take much to make the factions feel quite different with how they play. But these are the US ones, and then we have the Japanese ones here as well. And so this is a card-driven game. I will say that you can only do what the cards allow you in your hand to do. And if you can't do anything, you'll find yourself discarding cards or taking kind of nothingy actions, effectively a pass to play a bunch of cards, to do something minor, to get more cards, to get the good stuff that you can then do. However, that pushes you through the time, so you might run out of time to form an objective, do things like that. So there's some neat interplay in this. But what I mean by that is you will go through these cards. So if you want to sleeve them, it's going to help you protect them. Or just, some people don't know, you can go onto GMT website and they do sell spare decks of cards for Combat Commander. I would presume they do the same thing with this. I've seen Europe and the Med in their web store and at stalls that they've been to at conventions. But just know that you will go through and shuffle these cards a lot. You'll go through this deck probably twice in a scenario at least. And you'll play multiple scenarios of this. So just know you can get replacements, but I recommend sleeve these or find some way to protect them because these will take a beating otherwise. But these are the Japanese ones. I love a card that has historical photos on it. I think it helps to keep, it's really nice artwork from Leewood, but the photos help me to keep that really grounded. It's not just some counters on the board like this, not these exact scenarios necessarily, but the fighting here was real. So the decisions like these were made at times. This looks like this is a little bit dirty, which is a shame. I'm going to have to clean that off. But I could not be more excited to play this game. Let's just check under here if there's anything else. There is not. Good. This is Combat Commander Pacific. Literally been looking forward to this game for about 4 years. So very excited to play this. Me and Grant are going to sit down probably like a whole day and just play this the whole day, 4 or 5 times. And we'll do a review of it later. But appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.